Hey there. Today I'm going to do something I haven't done before and talk about Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation of Donald Trump. Every 3 weeks or so, U.S. media goes crazy about a perceived threat to the Mueller investigation. It seems to fill 25 hours of each 24-hour news cycle. Well, today I'm going to talk about the true threat to this special counsel's investigation. There is a sinister force that is working full-time to keep Robert Mueller from completing his job. I'm not talking about Donald Trump. Now, I kind of support the Mueller investigation. I think he should be allowed to do his work. I see Trump as the greatest threat to this country since Khrushchev, and I'm willing to work with pretty much anybody to see him taken down. But that doesn't mean I fool myself about what's going on here and who all these new heroes actually are. Every night we see people like Robert Mueller, James Comey, James Clapper, David Frum, Max Boot, and a wide cast of intelligence community freak shows and war on terror propagandists lionized by people on CNN and MSNBC who should really know better. All these frickin' resistance neocons are the reason Donald Trump is president. For 15 years after 9/11, they lined their pockets with war on terror nonsense. To do this, they created fear. Fear of Muslims, fear of foreign countries, fear about our borders, fear of the disappearing crime in U.S. cities. Donald Trump is the result of their failures and the fear that they have created.
In my opinion, we've spent $4 trillion trying to topple various people that, frankly, if they were there and if we could have spent that $4 trillion in the United States to fix our roads, our bridges, and all of the other problems, our airports, and all of the other problems we have, we would have been a lot better off. I can tell you that right now. We have done a tremendous disservice, not only to the Middle East, we've done a tremendous disservice to humanity. The people that have been killed, the people that have been wiped away, and for what? It's not like we had victory. It's a mess. The Middle East is totally destabilized, a total and complete mess.
Trump was exactly right about that. If he was actually the whip-smart executive he played on TV, then maybe he would have been able to make some real progress on these issues. But he's not. What Trump actually is one of the sheep. He's been sitting in front of a TV for 17 years, eating up all the fear and hate that the James Comeys of this world have been using to win votes and sweet jobs at military contractors like Northrop Grumman. People like Comey aren't evil. They probably believe that all the fear they have cooked up is worthwhile. It helps them fulfill their fantasies of public service and heroism. And with serious people like themselves in charge, all this fear can be controlled. Well, that's over. Donald Trump is a true believer. He lives and breathes all that fear and hate that the James Comeys of the world created to keep their jobs after the Cold War ended. And it is a terrible thing to watch.
These are the American citizens permanently separated from their loved ones. The word permanently being the word that you have to think about, permanently. They're not separated for a day or 2 days. These are permanently separated, because they were killed by criminal illegal aliens. These are the families the media ignores. They don't talk about them.
President Putin denied having anything to do with the election interference in 2016. Every U.S. intelligence agency has concluded that Russia did. Who do you believe?
My people came to me, Dan Coates came to me, and some others. They said they think it's Russia. I have President Putin. He just said it's not Russia. I will say this, I don't see any reason why it would be. So I have great confidence in my intelligence people, but I will tell you that President Putin was extremely strong and powerful in his denial today.
The Mueller investigation could be a useful tool to use to get rid of this nightmare. I made one video on the Russia connection almost 2 years ago. And despite all the boom revelations that have come since, I still think that video has a lot more truth in it than the past 2 years of CNN coverage. In brief, the Comeys of this world are going after the Russia connection because they really don't want Trump to kill one of their best lines of business. They worked for 25 years to create the cash cow that is a rogue Russia, and they don't want Trump to ruin it with his dictator fetish. I have known this from the start, but I support the Mueller investigation in the hopes that they'll find something that can take this national embarrassment down. I am beginning to lose hope, but there's still time. If you watch Fox News, they will tell you that the special counsel's investigation is this endless fishing expedition, unfairly turning over every stone. That is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard in my life. If you take a look at the career of Donald Trump, you'll get a sense of just how minuscule, how tiny the focus of this investigation is. Donald Trump worked in the real estate business in New York City for 40 years. He has owned and operated casinos in Atlantic City and Las Vegas. After all that failed, he went into business selling his name to the richest and most corrupt people the world has to offer. His business deals in Indonesia alone should have brought up endless fodder for investigation. Donald Trump is also a moron. The fact that he worked with that clown Michael Cohen for more than an afternoon should make that clear. You just know there's a ton there. So 3 years after Donald Trump declared his candidacy and a solid year after Mueller began his investigation, what have we got? Well, there's a pretty serious case being developed against his crappy family foundation, and we've got a botched payoff to a porn star, and that's just about it. Seriously. This man has worked for almost 50 years in one of the most corrupt industries, in one of the most corrupt states in the Union, and this is all we have. Seriously. And now we get to the real threat to the Mueller investigation. It's not Trump, it's the Comeys of this world. To some extent, it may even be Robert Mueller himself. You can call it the swamp, or the blob, or the deep state, but it's very real. It includes the Clintons, all the Republicans and Democrats, and you better believe it includes the Trumps as well. Paul Manafort is an interesting figure. There are dozens of Paul Manaforts in Washington, D.C. These people act as the nexus between the U.S. government and rich foreigners from Norway to Saudi Arabia and China and everywhere in between. They become fabulously wealthy. They're working with Republicans and Democrats, and you can be sure that most of them have bought memberships at Trump's gross Mar-a-Lago club down in Florida. They also book a lot of events at Trump's trashy hotel in Washington, D.C. Most of these people, of course, wouldn't personally be caught dead at either of those establishments. They actually have class. The problem with Paul Manafort is he got sloppy. He stopped playing the game right, made the wrong bets, and got too greedy. He broke the rules, so, like Michael Flynn and other trashy and disposable figures, he gets prosecuted. I actually got pretty excited about the Mueller investigation a couple months back. It looked like they were finally moving towards some of the real sources of corruption in Washington, D.C. What was Betsy DeVos's brother, the Blackwater guy, doing, meeting up with the UAE guy and all of those Russians during the campaign? I'd really like to know what was going on there. Wouldn't you? I mean, I bet you'd love to know what that was all about. Well, you know what? We're never going to find out. Because the United Arab Emirates is a good ally. It pays for all those think tanks in Washington, D.C. There are probably a half dozen Manaforts in the D.C. suburbs building mansions off of UAE money. And Mueller might want to work with those guys. Actually, he probably already has. In his brief 3 years out of public service, he joined Wilmer Hale, a prestigious D.C. law firm. In those few years, he oversaw international business worth billions. Then he went to work for Booz Allen Hamilton to try to clean up after their most famous employee, Edward Snowden. And that's just the stuff you can find on Wikipedia. So, get excited about that Trump Foundation case. It has promise. We might even get to see some Trump kids in handcuffs. But I'm beginning to lose hope that the Mueller investigation will ever touch anything real. Anything that we hear about is going to be hyper-localized and tied directly to the stupidity of Trump and the idiocy of the people surrounding him. The investigation is never going to move out to touch anything real and larger. This is because Robert Mueller, just like all of our resistance neocon heroes, is deeply locked into the exact same swamp that Donald Trump lives in. And that is the real threat to the Mueller investigation. Thanks for watching. please subscribe. And if you'd like to help me keep making videos like this one, you can click on the PayPal link in the description to donate directly, or you can click on the Patreon link here to find out more about my ongoing crowdfunding thing. Thanks.